Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring the book of Ezekiel.
Oh, Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Now,
Intense book.
it is. Ezekiel might be known for those, intense visions.
Right.
But we're going to kind of focus on the positive teachings and the valuable messages that it holds for us as believers.
That's a great approach.
You think so?
Yeah. Because Ezekiel is often seen as, all warnings and judgments.
Right.
But there's so much more there. There's
Yeah.
a profound message of hope and restoration.
There is. So we're going to find those nuggets of wisdom that can help us.
Help us in our journey.
Yeah, on our spiritual journey, right?
Absolutely.
So let's just jump right in. Ezekiel's first vision.
Okay.
He's by the river Chebar.
Right.
And a whirlwind appears.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with fire, a cloud, and this strange amber light.
It's cinematic.
It's like a movie, right?
It really is.
Well, incredible.
It's definitely meant to grab your attention.
Oh, yeah.
The intensity of the imagery
Yeah.
really draws you in right away.
Um,
And it prepares you for something extraordinary.
yeah.
Ezekiel is being shown the awesome power of God.
Right from the start.
Yeah.
And out of this whirlwind
Okay.
come 4 living creatures,
All right.
each with 4 faces.
Wow. 4 faces.
Yeah, so you have a man,
Okay.
a lion,
Uh-huh.
an ox,
Okay.
and an eagle.
Wow. Why those?
I know. Why those specific faces? What do you think?
Well, these symbols appear throughout the Bible.
Right.
They often represent different aspects of God's creation and his character.
Okay.
So the lion's strength, right?
Yeah.
Kingship.
Yeah.
The ox might represent service
Okay.
and sacrifice.
Mm.
The eagle,
Yeah.
associated with soaring heights and keen vision.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And man represents humanity itself.
So it's like the fullness of creation
Yeah.
represented in these creatures.
It's like they embody the fullness of God's creation, his power,
Uh-huh.
his presence.
It's all right there.
All in these creatures. It's fascinating.
And I think they also represent, the different facets of human nature.
Oh.
So, we have the strength of a lion, the willingness to serve like an ox, the vision to soar like an eagle,
Yeah.
and the capacity for thought and relationship
Yes.
as humans.
Okay. So these creatures,
Yeah.
they aren't just standing still,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Their wings are joined together.
Interesting.
And so they move straight forward without turning,
Okay.
guided by a spirit.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think, to me, it speaks to the importance of unwavering purpose and divine guidance in our lives. It's like when we align ourselves with God's will,
Yes.
we can move forward with confidence and determination.
Yeah, without being distracted.
Right, yeah.
By all the noise.
By all the things of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
A powerful image.
Powerful image. For those of us who, feel pulled in a million different directions.
I'll feel that. Right.
All the time.
It's a reminder to seek God's guidance and trust that He will lead us on the right path.
It is.
Okay, but wait.
Okay.
There's more to this vision.
Oh, there's more.
Beside each creature is a wheel.
A wheel.
A strange, intricate wheel.
Okay.
Made of beryl and covered with eyes.
That's pretty strange.
It's strange.
Yeah.
What do you think about these wheels?
I think they're fascinating, first of all.
Yeah.
Some scholars, they see them as representing God's omniscience and his omnipresence.
So He sees everything and is everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Okay.
And the fact that they move in perfect sync with the creatures suggests that there's a harmonious interplay between God's will
Right.
and his actions in the world.
That's beautiful.
It's
They're constantly in motion, carrying out God's plan.
Right.
And those eyes, they're always watching. Always watching.
ensuring that nothing escapes his notice.
Nothing.
We are never alone.
Never alone.
God is always with us,
Always.
even when we don't feel his presence.
He sees it all.
Yeah.
He sees our struggles, our joys, our every step.
He's working all things together for good.
He is.
Okay, so we've got
a lot.
these incredible creatures,
Yes.
these mysterious wheels.
Right.
And above them, Ezekiel sees a firmament that sparkles like crystal.
Wow.
I know. And the sound of their wings,
Yeah.
it's described as like a mighty army or the rushing of great waters.
That's a powerful image.
It is?
I think Ezekiel is using these vivid images to try to capture something that's ultimately beyond human comprehension.
Right.
The glory and splendor of the divine.
Yes, and then above this firmament
Okay.
appears a throne of sapphire.
Oh, wow.
I know.
A sapphire.
And with a figure, like a man sitting on it.
Okay.
Surrounded by fire and a rainbow-like brilliance.
It's the culmination of the vision.
It is.
The ultimate revelation of God's presence.
It's breathtaking.
It is.
But I think what I find truly moving is how Ezekiel responds to this vision.
Oh, how so?
He doesn't boast or anything. He just falls on his face in humility and awe.
It's a natural human response.
It is.
When you encounter the divine, you're humbled in the presence of such power and majesty.
Absolutely.
It reminds us that our role is not to try to control or manipulate God, but to surrender to his will and trust in his goodness.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And then God addresses Ezekiel as Son of Man.
Son of Man.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a term of endearment.
Okay.
But it also emphasizes Ezekiel's humanity.
Okay.
You know, it's like God is saying, you are my beloved child, but you are also a human being with limitations and weaknesses.
It makes him relatable.
It does.
To the people he's called to lead.
Right.
He's not this, like, superhuman figure.
No.
He's someone who understands their struggles.
Right.
And can empathize with their pain.
Absolutely, and that's a crucial part of his mission.
Yes.
He's been chosen to speak to the Israelites.
Right.
To deliver God's message.
To deliver the message,
Whether they listen or not.
Whether they listen or not.
Yeah.
So we have this incredible vision of God's power and glory.
I do.
Followed by this tender moment of connection.
Yes.
Between God and Ezekiel.
It's a beautiful image.
It's like, even in the midst of judgment, there's always love and mercy.
And that sets the stage for the rest of Ezekiel's prophetic ministry.
It does.
A journey filled with both challenge and hope.
Yes, and a message that resonates with believers even today.
Absolutely.
We've covered a lot.
We have.
In this first part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
What are some of the key takeaways?
Key takeaways.
For our listener to ponder.
Well, I think it's crucial to remember that even though Ezekiel is known for his dramatic visions and pronouncements of judgment, there's a deep current of love and compassion.
There is.
Running through everything he says.
Right, and I'm struck by how he uses vivid imagery.
It's beautiful imagery.
To convey spiritual truths.
Absolutely.
Like he's painting these pictures with words to help us grasp the unfathomable nature of God.
It really is powerful.
And also the emphasis on individual responsibility that emerges right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning.
Ezekiel's chosen. He's given a specific mission.
Yes.
And he's called to act.
Yes.
In obedience to God's will.
In obedience.
Yeah.
It's a powerful message.
Powerful. So as we move forward in our exploration of Ezekiel,
all right,
let's keep these ideas in mind. The power and wonder of God's presence, the love and mercy that underlie even his judgments, and the call to individual responsibility in response to God's grace.
Those are excellent points to carry with us.
They are, and it makes me wonder, as we delve deeper into Ezekiel's prophetic journey, how these themes will continue to unfold.
Yeah.
And what new insights we might discover.
That's a great question to ponder.
It is. As we move into the next part of our deep dive.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
Let's do it. What's fascinating about Ezekiel is even when he's delivering messages of judgment, there's this underlying current of hope.
Yes.
That runs through his words.
Hope and restoration.
He's always pointing toward the possibility of redemption.
You're right. It's not all doom and gloom.
It's not.
One of the most powerful images of hope.
Yes.
In Ezekiel. Is the vision of the dry bones.
Oh, the dry bones.
Yeah, coming back to life.
Yeah, he finds himself in a valley filled with these lifeless bones.
It's such a vivid image.
It is.
Of despair and hopelessness.
You can almost feel the dryness. The sense of death that permeates that scene.
It's like a visual representation of the spiritual state of the Israelites at the time.
They were exiled, defeated, feeling completely cut off from God.
They'd lost their homeland, the temple, their sense of identity as God's chosen people.
It's hard to imagine.
I know.
How they could possibly recover from such a devastating loss.
But then God tells Ezekiel to prophesy to these bones.
To speak life into them.
It's an incredible act of faith.
It is.
To believe that something dead could be brought back to life.
And as Ezekiel prophesies, we see this amazing transformation take place.
It's amazing.
The bones start to rattle. They come together. sinews and flesh appear.
Wow.
Skin covers them, and suddenly there's this vast army
standing there,
ready for battle.
I get chills every time I read that passage.
I know, it's so powerful.
It's a powerful reminder that God can breathe life into any situation.
He can.
No matter how hopeless it may seem. And it speaks to the resilience of the human spirit.
Right.
The capacity for renewal and transformation that's within each of us.
So how do we apply this message of the dry bones to our lives today?
Yeah.
What does it teach us about faith, about God's power, about overcoming challenges?
I think it reminds us that even when we feel broken, lost, or defeated, God is still with us.
He hasn't abandoned us.
He can take the shattered pieces of our lives and create something new and beautiful.
He's in the business of resurrection.
He is.
Bringing life out of death.
It doesn't just apply to our physical lives,
Right.
but to our spiritual lives as well.
Absolutely. We all go through those periods.
We do.
Of spiritual dryness where we feel distant from God.
Yeah.
Like our faith is withered.
But God can breathe new life into our hearts.
He can.
Rekindle our passion for Him and give us a fresh start.
It's about surrendering to God's power, trusting that He can work miracles in our lives.
Absolutely.
Even when we can't see how it's possible.
Even when we can't see it.
And speaking of restoration,
there's
another powerful vision in Ezekiel.
Oh, tell me about it.
That focuses on the future of Jerusalem.
Okay.
The city that had been judged, destroyed, abandoned.
This vision, it's all about a new temple, a new city, a new Jerusalem.
Jerusalem, right.
A blueprint for a future where God's presence will once again dwell among His people.
He's giving a detailed vision of a glorious new temple. In a perfectly ordered city.
It's filled with imagery of purity, holiness, and abundance.
Abundance, wow.
Rivers flow from the temple.
It's almost like a...
Trees bear fruit every month.
Yeah.
There's a sense of perfect harmony and peace.
It's like heaven on earth.
It is.
Where everything is in its rightful place.
They're perfectly designed, aligned with God's will.
And it comes at the end of the book.
It does.
Of Ezekiel.
Right, like a promise.
It's a promise.
That even though there's been judgment and exile, ultimately God's plan is one of redemption and restoration.
So it's not just about looking back at the past.
Right.
And lamenting what's been lost.
No.
But it's about looking forward.
To the future.
To a future filled with hope and promise.
Yes, and that hope isn't just for the Israelites.
Right.
It's for everyone.
Everyone.
It speaks to the longing in every human heart.
Yeah.
For a world where justice reigns.
Justice reigns.
Where peace prevails.
Yes.
And where God's presence is fully realized.
We live in a broken and imperfect world.
We do.
But God's kingdom is coming.
It is.
And we can participate in that kingdom by aligning our lives with His will.
What I find so inspiring about Ezekiel is he doesn't just offer these grand visions. He gives very practical guidance.
Right.
On how to live in a way that reflects God's values.
Right. He talks a lot about justice.
Yes.
Righteousness, compassion.
He outlines specific laws and regulations for how society should function in a just and equitable way.
It's like a social justice manifesto.
It is.
Rooted in the belief that God cares deeply about how we treat one another.
And that's so relevant today.
It is.
We're facing so many challenges.
So many.
Poverty and injustice.
Right.
Environmental degradation. Political unrest.
It feels like Ezekiel's talking about right now.
It does.
Yeah.
He reminds us we're not just called to escape from these problems, but to engage with them.
Yes.
To work toward creating a more just and compassionate world.
Bringing heaven to earth.
It is.
Starting with our own actions and choices.
Exactly.
Living in a way that reflects the love and grace of God. Working to restore broken relationships.
Yeah.
Creating a more harmonious and just society.
It's a beautiful vision.
So even though Ezekiel is known for these intense visions of judgment and destruction, there's actually so much hope and encouragement.
There is.
Woven into his message.
It's a call to action.
It is.
A reminder that we can be agents of God's restoration in the world.
What are some of the key takeaways?
Some key takeaways.
You'd like our listeners to consider.
Well, I think it's important to remember that God is always working to bring about His purposes, even when it seems like everything is falling apart.
Right. And the vision of the dry bones.
Yeah.
Such a powerful reminder that God can breathe new life into any situation.
No matter how hopeless it may seem.
And the vision of the New Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Gives us a glimpse of the ultimate goal.
the
kind of world that God is creating.
Yes.
A world where justice and peace prevail.
And it's not just about passively waiting for that world to arrive.
Right.
It's about actively participating in its creation.
Yeah.
By living out the values of God's kingdom in our own lives.
Those are excellent points, and it makes me wonder, as we delve into the next part of our deep dive, what other insights and challenges we might uncover.
What will we uncover?
As we explore Ezekiel's teachings on individual responsibility and God's unwavering desire for reconciliation with his people.
That's a great thought to ponder as we head into the final part of our exploration of Ezekiel.
I agree. So we've been unpacking some of those grand sweeping visions in Ezekiel.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing.
They are, but I'm kind of curious about how they connect to our everyday lives.
Right.
How does Ezekiel address the personal side of faith?
Well, it's fascinating how he brings together these cosmic visions with a very personal call to individual responsibility. It's not just about nations and empires.
Right.
It's about each person making choices that align with God's will.
Yeah, that makes me think about that proverb.
Oh, yeah.
That Ezekiel addresses. The fathers have eaten sour grapes.
Right.
And the children's teeth are set on edge.
Yeah, basically people blaming their parents' mistakes for their own struggles.
Yeah, is that something we still do today?
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to fall into that trap
of
blaming our circumstances, our upbringing, society.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Right, but Ezekiel challenges that notion.
Yeah, and he says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It does sound harsh.
It does.
At first. But what's he saying?
Well, I think the point is, there are consequences to our actions.
Okay.
We can't just shrug off responsibility and say it's not my fault.
So it's not about God being vindictive.
Not at all. In fact, Ezekiel goes on to emphasize the possibility of repentance and forgiveness.
Oh.
He gives these examples of a righteous man turning away from God and a wicked man repenting.
Okay.
It's about highlighting that we have a choice.
We have a choice.
We have the power to change our course.
Okay.
To turn back to God and find redemption.
It's not about being predetermined by our past or our family history.
Right.
We can choose a different path.
Exactly.
Make things right.
And that idea of individual responsibility, it has profound implications for how we understand justice and accountability. It shifts the focus from collective guilt to personal responsibility.
So it's not enough to blame systems or structures.
Right.
We each have a role to play in creating a more just and righteous society.
Exactly.
That's a powerful message for us today.
It is. It is.
It's easy to, get caught up in blaming others or feeling powerless to change things.
Yeah.
But Ezekiel reminds us that even small acts of obedience, small choices to do what's right, can make a difference.
They can.
And this call to individual responsibility is balanced by Ezekiel's emphasis on God's compassion and desire for restoration.
Yeah, there's that famous line.
Which one?
As I live, saith the Lord God, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live.
It's like a parent's heart towards a child who has gone astray.
Right. There's sadness and disappointment.
Yes.
But also this overwhelming desire for reconciliation, for the child to come home.
To come home.
God doesn't want to punish people.
Right.
He wants them to turn back to him.
Yeah.
To experience the fullness of life.
To experience life.
Yeah. That comes from being in right relationship with him.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Ezekiel, what resonates most is this balance between accountability and grace.
Yes.
We are responsible for our choices.
Right.
But God's always ready to forgive.
He is.
And restore us.
Yes.
When we turn back to him.
Powerful message.
It's not just about individual salvation.
No, it's bigger than that.
It's about partnering with God to bring about his kingdom.
Yes.
To create a world that reflects his values of justice, righteousness, and compassion.
Ezekiel's visions might have been about ancient Israel.
Right.
But they have timeless relevance for us today.
That's true.
They challenge us to examine our own lives.
Yeah.
To make choices that align with God's will.
Right.
And to work towards a future where God's presence is fully realized in our world.
It has been an amazing journey.
It has.
Exploring these ideas with you.
I've really enjoyed it.
I have too. And for our listeners who are looking for ways to deepen their faith.
Yeah.
To live out the values of God's kingdom. I encourage you to revisit the book of Ezekiel.
Yeah, go back and read it.
See what fresh insights you might discover.
You'll be surprised.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.